Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 tournament action. This is going to be actually round 4 of the Total War Tubers tournament, which has definitely been a lot of fun. A big shout out again to Shadow Online Gaming for putting the whole thing together. He's the one who organized the tournament and brought all of us content creators together to, create some fun content for you guys. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the tournament battles so far. This one, I am, of course, taking the Skaven, who I've been playing throughout the tournament, and I am facing up against Pharaoh Owar as the Warriors of Chaos. So Pharaoh Owar is a very good player. Him and I have had some really epic matches. Before I started my channel in particular, I remember there was one Greenskins versus Beastmen game we had that was just absolutely epic. But he's a very, very good player, recently accepted to the Cycle Charge clan, so congratulations, Pharaoh. Do us proud, and of course I'll have a link to his channel down below. He does have a YouTube channel, and he also streams on Twitch, so for you Twitch guys, definitely check out Pharaoh Owar's channel. Very good player, and yeah, definitely worth looking into. Let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. Of course, I've got Lord Skrolk here leading the army. He's carrying Wither and Pestilent Birth for the Armor Sundering and the Plague Monk summons. He's also got Liber Bubonicus, which does massive single target damage. Of course, the leadership buff as well. Got an Assassin to back him up. He's got the Trophy Heads, which is a huge debuff to melee defense and melee attack. Very strong against enemy lords and so on. We've got, as you guys have come to expect, lots of Skaven Slave Spears. We've got 1, 2, 3 guarding the back line. In the front, it's a mix of Skaven Slave Slingers and Night Runners. So I brought the Night Runners just because these guys have the snare nets. They don't necessarily do poison damage, but I totally thought they had the snare nets. Maybe they don't? Okay, maybe I was actually mistaken. But totally thought these guys had the snare nets. Might have to look into that further. But anyway, they're a little bit more elite than the Slingers. They'll hold up a little bit better in melee, and they do more missile damage as well. Slightly more, not a whole lot, but definitely a useful unit to have against large monsters. Plague Claw Catapult, of course. And let's see, for the skirmish force here, we've got 4 units of Gutter Runners with poison. These guys do have the snare nets and poison missiles as well as poison melee attacks, so they're going to be able to bog down Pharaoh's entire force as he marches across this, swampy area. They're going to be able to just deal damage, and if anyone tries to chase, like these Chaos Knights are going to give chase here, they're not going to be able to catch these guys with the snare nets and the poison shurikens combined. There's just no way they're going to be able to catch them. So this is just to delay the engagement, the melee engagement, as long as possible. If you look here at the troop count, I actually outnumber Pharaoh's force by more than 3 to 1. So the Warriors of Chaos bringing a more elite army, and Skaven definitely going appropriate with a huge horde of rats. So for Pharaoh's army, he's led by Sarthrel the Everwatcher, which is the best pick against the Skaven. Totally agree with this guy. He's got 60% missile resistance and 25% magic resistance, which means Poison Wind Globadiers, Warp Lightning Cannons will do about 5 to 10% of their base damage, or I guess 15%. But it's just hardly anything. So very strong pick in this matchup. Of course, he has super high mass, so he can just run through lines. He's also got some Lore of Metal, Plague of Rust, and Final Transmutation. Final Transmutation, Pharaoh was just testing it out here. It's been pretty hard nerfed, so I definitely would not recommend you guys bring this. Plague of Rust is pretty good, although the Skaven don't have a whole lot of armored targets. You could potentially see Storm Vermin here, so I like that. It's a cheap spell anyway. Maybe I would replace Final Transmutation with Transmutation of Lead, just because it's a very strong debuff. But he's also got a unit of Chaos Knights here, and a unit of Chaos Knights and Hounds over here. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Main line is Chaos Warriors with great weapons, with 3 Forsaken mixed in. 2 on this flank, 1 on this flank here. So very strong elite Chaos force. They're definitely going to be able to carve through a lot of Skaven. Forsaken will just cut through Skaven like butter. Chaos Warriors with great weapons as well, although the armor piercing isn't necessarily super pertinent here. They're very strong and, of course, heavily armored, and just going to be a menace to deal with. So right now I'm just controlling my opponent's advance. You guys have heard me talk about Skaven and controlling the board before, so we've got these 2 units of Gutter Runners out on this flank, just screening against the Cav and the Hounds here. Meanwhile, these guys are screening over here. These Chaos Knights were going to try and come up and around this flank, but taking a huge volume of fire. They're already down to half HP, and keep in mind, those guys have 120 armor, and I have no armor-piercing missiles. This is sheer volume of fire right here. Plague Claw Catapult's going to be making some really nice contact here. Those Forsaken are already down to about 40% HP. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is definitely going to be a problem, but Big Bird is charged straight into the lines here. He's going to be an absolute menace. I really don't have any units that can effectively pin him down, so he's just going to run roughshod over my main line here. I'm going to collapse with Skrolk and the Assassin here, pop the Trophy Heads. as well as a Liber Bubonicus. Liber Bubonicus, honestly, I probably should have saved for the Shaggoth, just because Big Bird does have 25% magic resistance. It's not going to be as good against him as it could be against the Shaggoth. You can see between the Assassin, Skrolk, and the Liber Bubonicus, Big Bird's already taken more than half his HP in damage, which, I mean, he's unbreakable, so you've got to finish him off regardless. The mainline fight is kind of being delayed. The Forsaken charged in first, and the Chaos Warriors, being a little bit slower, were able to be delayed, and forcing this piecemeal engagement is exactly what we need. We're going to summon up some Plague Monks here in the center to bog down these. Holy cow, that Plague Claw Catapult destroying my frame rate here, but those Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Of course, the anti-infantry bonus of the Plague Monks will be very nice here. Big Bird's fleeing away from my Hero Goon Squad here. Very well played. Right now, I've got a lot of skirmish units bogged up in this Shaggoth right now, though. I really need to spread my forces out and just start focus firing in on that Shaggoth, because, of course, it does have 70 armor and some missile resistance, but with enough volume of fire, we'd be able to do a substantial amount of damage to it. Meanwhile, in the front line here, we're using Wither to tear away the armor of the Forsaken and the Chaos Warriors. That'll let these Plague Monks trade a lot more cost-effectively. Big Bird, however, we're still having major issues with. We're going to get Skrolk in here in a bit of a hero duel. Of course, Big Bird's a lot bigger than him. He's just going to push him around for the most part, but Skrolk's no slouch in melee. He's got decent combat stats. 62 attack, 45 defense, and 434 weapon strength is decent. He also comes with Frenzy, of course, being a Clan Pestilence unit. Most of the Plague Monk type units have Frenzy. Unfortunately, I'm not super well microing my ranged units. We really need to be focus firing on the Shaggoth rather than Big Bird. Of course, Big Bird's going to take very little damage there, but fortunately my opponent was able to get his hounds over on this catapult here. Pharaoh Owar doing a very good job. These Chaos Knights, however, getting bogged down in the woods with Skaven Slave Spears and being shot in the back by 2 units of Gutter Runners is a really bad matchup for them. This is exactly what these units are designed for. So we're able to just hold him down there for a time, but now he does rout off those Skaven Slave Spears, and let's see if he collapses here. The Hounds are collapsing on the flank. This entire flank here for the Skaven has collapsed, and the Terror is starting to become an issue. These 2 units of Plague Monks are going to get Terror routed away. Big Bird's very low, about 25% of his HP left. We're focus firing on the Shaggoth, doing some nice damage. We've got the Assassin as well as Lord Skrolk focus firing on him as well. So should be able to do some nice damage here, but it's going to be very, very hard to take down the Shaggoth. Doing some decent damage, but overall, it's looking pretty close so far. Balance of power is still very, very even. It's a very back-and-forth fight. We've got the Warlock Engineer, although he doesn't have great combat stats, only 25 attack, 32 defense. He does have 280 armor-piercing weapon strength, which is, you know, not bad. So he's also got the Warpstone armor as well. I should point out, I brought this Warlock Engineer with no spells, just with the Warpstone armor to drain hit points in that area of effect. Of course, with this big horde style play, a lot of these units are not super high DPS outside the Plague Monks, so I need something to apply some other type of damage, and the Warpstone armor fits that bill perfectly. Could bog them down with slaves, you know, Night Runners and so on, and then just use that Warpstone armor to just drain away the hit points of the enemies. But you can see this this fight here is becoming very, very pitched. Skrolk is caught out of position, unfortunately, away from his heroes, you know, the Assassin and the Warlock Engineer. You can see Pharaoh's collapsing all his forces, capitalizing on the mistake. Skrolk's losing a ton of hit points and leadership, probably going to be terror routed off very, very shortly. And I'm just desperately doing all I can to focus fire here, but my infantry are just not able to break through. They're bogged up in these heavy Chaos Warriors, and Skrolk looks like he's going to go down here. Terrified off now, hopefully going to rally here, and I might be able to extricate him, but it's really looking bad. We were able to get one final Liber Bubonicus on Sarthrel, but of course the magic resistance is really, really tough there, and didn't quite take him down. He's at 750 hit points, so super low. Dragon Ogre's at about 1,300 hit points and dropping, but Skrolk is not long for this world, unfortunately, surrounded by these Chaos Warriors and this Demon of Siege here. He's definitely going to get taken down. So Big Bird preying upon poor Lord Skrolk. You can see him going down there, and that is going to start some major wavering issues already. You can see a lot of my troops are really not happy about this turn of events. We're going to have the Warlock Engineer rout. A lot of my infantry just immediately rout off that are very low. We still do have some units in here firing a bit, but it's that was pretty much the killing blow to my army here. Still a minute and 45 left on the battle, but that's pretty much GG at that point. I really don't have anything that can take down Big Bird, and the loss of leadership for the Skaven is huge. I still do have the Warlock Engineer and the Skaven Assassin, but the Skaven Assassin's currently routing. He's fairly low. Warlock Engineer doesn't have really great leadership to begin with, so he's not really an anchor type unit to hold the whole army together. So at this point, Pharaoh's going to do a good job of just chasing off these routing units here. Looks like he's dropping another final transmutation here. just to make sure these guys stay off the field. We were able to regroup some gutter runners over here. Going to be doing some nice skirmishing with these Chaos Knights, and then charging in. We will be able to finish them off, but this is basically just for honor right here. The game is already pretty much over at this point, but yeah, Pharaoh doing a very, very good job just continuing to push my units here. He doesn't want any of these guys to come back from routing. Of course, if I were able to rally all of my troops and get maybe like a full surround, because his army is very, very tattered. It was a very, very close battle. I mean, if those two Liber Bubonicus casts, if I had cast those on the Shaggoth instead of Big Bird, I think this battle might have turned out a little bit differently. It was ultimately Big Bird that was able to, you know, kill Skrolk, but without the Shaggoth, if the Shaggoth had died earlier on in the battle, he wouldn't have been able to isolate him quite as easily, I don't think. You know, it's hard to say, but I do think if I had cast that Liber Bubonicus, especially that final one, on this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, I could have pulled this one out, but very well played to Pharaoh Owar. He's a very good player, and no shame at all in losing to him. So you can see the last of my units routing here, and that is going to be GG. So with that game, I'm officially eliminated from the tournament. Pharaoh Owar went 2-2 and had the tiebreaker against me. I also lost to John Ton, who is the other player who's moving on. So well played to Pharaoh Owar and John Ton. Good luck in the finals. I believe the finals have actually been played already, but I'll leave a link down to the challenge page so you guys can take a look at the bracket. Of course, I'll link to Pharaoh Owar's channel as well. Check out Shadow Online Gaming, the organizer of the tournament. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Keep it right here for more Total War Warhammer 2 content, and we'll see you next time.